This story begins in Mexico, a small town where a boy named Miguel lived with his mother, Rosa. Miguel's father was no more. He lived alone with his mom. One evening, while Rosa was in the kitchen, her cousin Carlos called. Carlos told Rosa her life was in danger. The Mexican cartel was after him. Carlos had a lot of cartel money. He wanted to give it all to Rosa. He said, "I've sent all the money to your house. As soon as you get it, leave Mexico and go to America." Carlos somehow got the money to Rosa, but the cartel found his location. They captured Carlos. They tortured him for the money's location. Even after so much torture, Carlos didn't speak. We see a man named Mauricio, the head of the Mexican cartel. Mauricio checked Carlos's phone. His last call was to Rosa. Mauricio understood Carlos gave the money to Rosa. He set out with his gang to find Rosa, and he killed Carlos. Next we see Jim, a retired Marine officer. He worked as a guard on the American-Mexican border. Jim's job was to watch the border. During patrol, he saw an old man sitting by a tree. Jim saw blood on his foot. He realized this man was an immigrant. He gave him water and quickly called an ambulance. That evening, Jim saw a bank officer waiting with a notice. Jim's wife had cancer. He took a huge loan for her treatment. Sadly, he couldn't save her. He was left with massive debt. The officer warned him. If he didn't pay, the bank would seize his house. Jim was very worried. This house was his wife's last memory. He didn't want to lose it at any cost. So Jim met a farm owner to sell all his cows. The owner knew Jim needed money badly. He bought them for very little. That night, Jim went to a bar to drink away his sorrows. Soon, a girl named Sarah arrived. She was a border inspector. She was also Jim's stepdaughter. Jim told her if he didn't pay the bank, he would lose his house. Jim drank so much he couldn't stand. Sarah gave him a ride home. The next day, Rosa and Miguel tried to cross the border illegally. They cut the border wires and quietly entered America. Soon after, they met Jim. He pointed his gun at them. Rosa told him the cartel was after them. They had to flee Mexico. Jim didn't believe her. He decided to call the guards. Before he could, Mauricio arrived with his men. He threatened Jim. "Hand over the girl and the child," he said. Jim realized their lives were truly in danger. He didn't call the guards. He told Mauricio to leave, but the cartel drew their guns instead. Jim grabbed his gun and shot one gang member. He put Rosa and Miguel in his car. Mauricio crossed the border and attacked Jim. Jim somehow threw Mauricio off his car and drove away. When Mauricio returned, he learned the dead member was his brother. Mauricio swore to take revenge on Jim. Meanwhile, Jim was driving Rosa and Miguel away. Then he saw Rosa was shot. He stopped the car. Rosa knew she didn't have much time left. She gave Jim the bag of money and a Chicago address. "Take Miguel there. His relatives live there," she said. Then she died. Jim called his daughter Sarah and told her everything. Sarah arrived with her team. She took Rosa's body. She told Jim, "I'm taking Miguel too. We'll get him to his family." Jim agreed reluctantly and went home. The next morning, Jim saw a black car nearby. It was Mauricio and his men. Jim remembered the bag Rosa gave him. He opened it and found a lot of money. He thought of using it to pay his loan, but he saw bloodstains on the bag. He remembered Rosa's last words. He decided not to use the money. He would take Miguel to his family himself. He went to the police station. An officer told him Miguel's family had arrived. After some questions, Jim realized they weren't relatives. They were Mauricio's men. He took Miguel out the back and put him in his car. Mauricio saw them and decided to follow. He ordered his entire gang to America. Jim took Miguel home. After some packing, they left for Chicago. Mauricio followed Jim to his house, but Jim had already left. After searching, Mauricio found a credit card bill. It was Jim's. He also saw many medals and awards. He learned Jim was a retired Marine officer. Mauricio realized fighting Jim wouldn't be easy, but he wouldn't back down. He set Jim's house on fire. He had a hacker track the credit card. Jim stopped at a gas station to refuel his car. He went inside and bought a map of Chicago. As soon as Jim paid with his card, the hacker tracked him. Mauricio rushed to the shop, but Jim had already left. He questioned the salesgirl. She didn't tell him anything. Angry, Mauricio killed her and checked the camera footage. He saw Jim went east with Miguel. He and his gang chased after them. A police officer stopped Jim. He found guns in Jim's car. Jim had no license. The officer made Jim get out and sit in his car. Jim grew suspicious. The officer had been trying to call someone for a while. Jim got out and talked to him. He realized this officer worked for Mauricio. He attacked the officer and knocked him out. He told Miguel to hide. Soon, Mauricio arrived with his gang. They woke the officer and asked about Jim. The officer said Jim attacked him. Angry, Mauricio killed the officer. He searched Jim's car. He found a map of Chicago. He knew where they were going. Jim was at a gun shop buying guns. His were left in the officer's car. He took Miguel to a hotel. They decided to stay the night. At midnight, Jim woke up. He saw Mauricio at the hotel reception. Panicked, Jim called the police with false information about thieves. He woke Miguel and jumped out the window into the bushes behind the hotel. Mauricio found Jim's room number and rushed there, but they had escaped. They went out the window and searched for them. Mauricio shouted at Jim. When no one answered, he left with his men. The next day, Jim called Sarah and told her everything. Sarah said, "Bring Miguel to us. He'll be safe in our custody." Jim refused. He decided to take Miguel home himself. Mauricio called his gang members in Chicago. He gave them Jim's car number. Jim and Miguel were very tired. They stopped to warm themselves by a fire. Jim lit some of the money on fire to warm Miguel. "Money isn't worth a life," he said. The next day, when they reached Chicago, a cartel man saw their car. He immediately informed Mauricio. Jim saw them too. He drove out of the city. Mauricio chased Jim and tried to ram his car, but Jim somehow escaped. Soon after, Jim's car broke down. He had to stop. To save himself and Miguel, he grabbed his gun and shot at Mauricio's car. He flipped it. Many of Mauricio's men died. But Mauricio and 2 others survived. Jim and Miguel hid in a nearby house. Mauricio and his men found them. Jim set up his sniper and shot 1 man dead. He gave Miguel a pistol. "When I go out, fire from the other side to distract them." As soon as Jim went out, Miguel fired. The other man got confused and exposed himself. Jim shot and killed him. But Mauricio reached the house. He snatched the gun from Miguel and captured him. He took him to Jim. "Drop your weapon," Mauricio said. To save Miguel, Jim put his gun down. Mauricio gave the gun to Miguel and told him to shoot Jim. Miguel used his brain. He cleverly dropped the gun's magazine. Seeing this, Jim attacked Mauricio. A fierce fight broke out. Meanwhile, the gun fell into Miguel's hands. He pointed it at Mauricio. Mauricio taunted him. "If you have the guts, shoot me. Avenge your mother's death." Before Miguel could shoot, Jim snatched the gun and shot Mauricio himself. Jim told Mauricio, "You have two options. Kill yourself or I will." He put the gun in front of Mauricio and left with Miguel. Mauricio shot himself. He was tired of his life. Jim reached the location Rosa told him about. Miguel's family lived there. When Miguel rang the bell, his aunt opened the door. Seeing Miguel, she became very emotional. When Miguel turned around, Jim had already left. Jim sat on a bus. It was revealed he was shot in the stomach. His condition was very bad, but he didn't go to a hospital. He sat on the bus and breathed his last.